The festival is a major new civic event for New York.
For me, the festival is really about the idea of harnessing the creative capital in New York to actually impact the urban environment that we live in.
It's something that's trying to be more inclusive of a range of ideas about what the city even means, or what might make the city attractive, or why people might want to live in the city.
I see it as a place of convergence for experts and citizens to come together to try to figure out how do we want to live together.
It's a collaboration between over 150 organizations who are working together to affect change.
People who are in many, many different ways thinking about how the city could be different, and who are actually making the city different for the future.
The festival itself has 3 platforms: a conference over 3 days, an innovative street fair that takes place on Saturday, May 7th, and over 100 projects opening at venues downtown.
The project really began with the 11 organizing partners, and the early discussions were very interesting.
And all the different organizations that are the partners started to brainstorm about what could happen and how it should happen and which different scales should be addressed.
The conference is organized around 4 very broad and overlapping themes.
The heterogeneous city, the networked city, the reconfigured city, my favorite, and the sustainable city.
We have panels, special lectures, keynote addresses, and workshops planned around these themes.
Those 4 areas are very good places to start.
When we actually just talk about sustainability, we really don't know what sustainability really implies. We know what it means, but it has been exercised in a very reductive way through LEED or through notions of accreditation or values or numbers.
But it's also about economic sustainability and political sustainability.
I think the idea of the network city, obviously we talk about computer networks and other, train networks, intermodal networks.
The connections that are made between all the different sectors, underground, above ground, how people move through cities, how people communicate with each other.
The idea of the reconfigured city is to look at ideas that rethink the way that people use the city, either use the buildings in the city or use the transportation infrastructure or use other kinds of systems, and how they can be hacked or adjusted or tweaked or reused, reconfigured to make them more accommodating to contemporary life.
And finally, the heterogeneous city. Well, New York is the most, heterogeneous place in the world, I would imagine. We can talk about the idea of the melting pot, but what we do have is still neighborhoods and pockets of people that are maybe having trouble interacting.
The heterogeneous city is a city of mix, and in an ideal world, the heterogeneous city would be one that is always changing, but somehow never gets to a point where one force or one segment of the city is overwhelming the others.
The street festival will take place up and down the Bowery from Spring to Houston Street, and then along Rivington and Stanton Street. It's going to showcase innovative practices and innovative products, from urban beekeeping to green roofs.
Lots of urban agriculture and bikes.
From community organizations to large universities to cultural groups.
How you actually ignite, how you incite the citizen to become a creative citizen is something that doesn't happen just by telling it, right? It's a project of pedagogical aspirations, but in this case is being played out through play and engagement and fun.
One of the things that was most important to us is to have cultural practitioners represented at every step of the way, to have artists participating in every aspect of this festival, because we believe that cultural organizations can become catalysts for communities, how they can transform communities, and how artists transform communities, how they are agents of change, and all that implies. It's mostly good, but it's not all good. There is the issue of gentrification, which is usually started by the artists themselves, but then artists become victims of that process.
The cultural sector plays a very important role in New York City, both positively and negatively.
The Bowery has been a place over the last number of years, the last 10 years, say, that has had seen a tremendous amount of change.
The experience we had moving to the Bowery and really witnessing the rapid transformation of the street, even as we were building, much faster than we expected.
There are lots of questions about whose city is it, who deserves to have any particular piece of territory, and how do we make the idea that everybody who lives here has a claim on the city in some way, how do we make that explicit?
We have arrived to a point within our culture where the society of consumption has arrived even to the spaces of art and to the spaces of exhibition or display. To do a festival, to do a project that actually tries to transform that relationship between the citizen as a consumer of culture versus the citizen as a producer of culture, I think is extremely important.
I think it's an important moment to take stock of what the good life really is.
To produce creative citizenship is not an easy task. I think it's one of the most sophisticated tasks that any institution working within the public realm can set itself to accomplish. And I do think that the festival is very much in the line of that.
I think we're at an important moment of repositioning our economy, or a need to reposition our economy and consider a lot of fundamental questions about growth and who the benefits of growth extend to.
I think that artists have enormous power that they don't recognize that they have, beyond the work that they make, which is in itself hugely influential.
And that maybe something extremely positive can come out of it that would actually mean that the city government and city planning agencies might take note and say, maybe we have to bring these people to the table.
Well, our mission is new art, new ideas, and we always saw from the beginning that this was an extension, a natural outgrowth of our mission in exploring new ideas, and that art would be a central part of it, that culture was going to be at the center, at the heart of this festival. But it has expanded our sense of community responsibility and how we can really function as a community hub in ways that we never imagined. So that's been very, very rewarding and something that will continue to evolve.